And now I will do a job on the Hesters. Beatrice and Charles Hester were two witnesses to the assassination, and I have them circled here. First, I'm going to go over the evidence of what they did, and then I'm going to tell you what it all means. But here they are, as the president comes by, just as he's first shot. Beatrice is standing in front of the bench up there, and Charles is sitting on the bench. And of course that was the Bronson slide. Here I have the Willis photo on top and the Bronson slide on the bottom, and you can see the Hesters in both of these. And you can see from the Willis photo, you can see she's standing probably like 3 feet in front of the bench, while Charles is sitting on it. And then in the Weigman film, we can see that the Hesters have moved. They've moved west, and they're closer to the pergola there, maybe about the same distance. But after the shooting, they responded. They reacted by running away from the bench towards the west, and they are captured here in the Weigman film. And in the Weigman film, though I don't have that part to show you here, Charles Hester does get up and go over to the back of the pergola and looks through the back wall. Apparently he thinks there might be somebody shooting back there. And here in 2 frames from the Bell film, we can see that Charles has left Beatrice, and Beatrice here is getting up to go join him. And Weigman, who took the photos I just showed from his movie, you can see Weigman is down on the ground too here, apparently, in the position that he photographed the Hesters from. And this, of course, will be after he had photographed them, because his camera is now pointed elsewhere. And here in the Alkins 8 photo, we can see Zapruder and Zitzman circled in blue, having got off the pedestal. And they appear to be walking east here, though afterwards they do apparently turn around and go into the pergola shelter. But at this point they're walking east towards the Hesters, and we can see the Hesters in red are once again together. So apparently Beatrice got up and joined Charles in this position. And here in a Bond photo, we can see that the Hesters have stood up, and Beatrice is walking towards the shelter. Charles seems to be just standing there, and Zapruder and Zitzman have already gone into the shelter. And just after that, this I think is from a Towner slide, the Hesters are walking towards the shelter, where apparently Zapruder and Zitzman are already in there. We can see somebody's in there. Now, I don't know the details myself, but I have read that Beatrice Hester worked for Zapruder. So that might explain why they're going into the shelter. They want to have a conference with Abraham Zapruder. And this Rickerby photo, taken a bit after that, you can see that the Hesters are no longer outside the shelter, so they're inside the shelter now with Zapruder. And this enlargement was done by a Bill Miller. I don't know anything about Bill Miller. I found this on the internet, but he did a nice job enlarging the area inside the pergola, and no doubt he did some contrast brightness adjustments, that sort of thing. And we have what appears to be Abraham Zapruder with his bow tie and hat there, and that looks like Charles Hester to me. I can't be certain, but I think this is Hester and Zapruder and someone else over there. And so there's got to be at least 4 people in here now: Zitzman, Zapruder, and the Hesters. And then next in this Kablik photo, we can see that not much has changed. And here in another Bond photo, again, it looks about the same, so everybody must still be in the pergola shelter. And here in another Bond photo, you can see 2 more people walking towards the shelter. And I've got one circled here because in the next photo, you can see that she at least has gone inside. So probably both of those people went inside, since they don't seem to be anywhere else. and that means there are 6 people in the shelter. I don't know who these people are, but presumably they know Zapruder. Now, I have no doubt that Zapruder was engaged to do the photography for the assassination. I don't think he knew it was going to be an assassination, but well, here he is with Sitzman up on the pedestal in the Mormon photo, and in this version of the Mormon photo, you can see somebody is already in the pergola before the shooting, and that, in my view, is a cameraman, another cameraman, to produce photography for the Zapruder film, which was the Zapruder film we have now is an edited version with multiple sources of photography. That's beyond the scope of this video, but if you know that I think that, then you realize that I think this is important, that there's a photographer in the pergola behind Zapruder, and Zapruder goes in there, and all these other people go in there. So I think all of these people are aware that something's going on. I don't think they realized it was an assassination until after the president's head was blown off, but I think they're all conspirators in some sense. And we do have some relevant text documents to look at here. The first one is Charles Hester's affidavit. He swore out on the day of the assassination. And the details he gives here correspond to the photography. There's nothing to conflict with the photography. So it seems to me as if he's telling the truth about what he did in his affidavit on the day of the assassination. Beatrice did not swear out an affidavit, apparently. But then we have 2 FBI reports reportedly to be of interviews with Mr. and Mrs. Hester, Mrs. Charles Hester, Beatrice, and Charles. According to the FBI reports, both of them claimed that they were on the south side of Elm, and that after the shooting they crossed the street to the north side of Elm. Both reports say that. I don't know why. I don't know if the Hesters are lying, or if the FBI is lying, or if the FBI just doesn't know what the hell they're talking about and they just make up stuff. I don't know. But clearly the photography shows that they were not on the south side of Elm. They were on the north side of Elm before, during, and after the assassination. Yet in both FBI reports, it clearly states that they were on the south side and they crossed to the north side, which is simply not true. So to me, this implies that somebody, whether it's the Hesters or the FBI, knows that the Hesters are involved in the assassination plot in some way, and that they are trying to obscure the facts. I don't think this could possibly be a simple mistake, saying that they were on the other side of the street, when clearly we can see that it's not true. They were on the north side all along. And somebody, I know not who, put this together, and I want to use it as a simple summary of this situation. According to the photography, the Hesters started here, it says, and that's in front of that bench on the north side of the street, and then they went over to the pergola structure and ended up inside the shelter. Whereas, as this person notes, the Hesters told the FBI they were on the south side of Elm and went across to the north side of Elm to gain shelter. This person seems to be assuming that the FBI isn't lying about this. But as I said, I don't know who's lying. So, of course, as you have probably surmised if you've been watching my videos, I'm wondering whether or not the Hesters were involved with this switching of the handbags that were carried by Mrs. Chisholm, because they're sitting right there where Alan Tippett and his friend will go, where Alan will carry the handbag he got from Mrs. Chisholm. All according to my interpretations. Of course, this is not the official story. My first foray into this question involves what appears to be an object sitting on that bench where the Hesters were before the assassination. However, I have since determined that this is not an object on the bench, that this is actually light cast through the latticed ceiling onto the back wall of the pergola structure there, and it only just happens to appear in such a position that makes it look as though it is an object on the bench. And so I will not bore you with the details of where I went on that wild goose chase, but I thought it was worth mentioning here in case somebody else thinks there's an object on the bench. I'm certain now that there is not. But I didn't give up. Here, back in the Bronson slide, we can see Mrs. Hester is standing holding something. It looks like a shopping bag, one of those big shopping bags that has the string handles protruding over the top. That's what it looks like. She has this big open shopping bag, and she's standing up there, and this is right when the president is first shot. So she's standing there with a shopping bag. And here I've got this compilation put together to show this shopping bag. In the Wiegman film, or the Weigman film, after the shooting, you can see she has that with her, and you can see that it is not a full shopping bag. It's folded now. It's an empty shopping bag, a big empty shopping bag, and she was standing right where Alan Tippett went with the handbag that Mrs. Chisholm was originally holding. You can see in the Willis photo, that's the shorthand bag she had before the shooting, and she ended up with a longer handbag after the shooting. Well, Alan Tippett took that handbag, and he took it over right by where the Hesters originally were, but the Hesters had gone away by then. And I think the Hesters were involved in a conspiracy, and then when they saw that JFK really was shot in the head and killed, they got scared because they were not expecting that, and so they ran to take cover themselves, and they went off the script. They didn't do their part in the plan. I think Alan Tippett was supposed to drop that handbag into Beatrice Hester's open shopping bag, but he couldn't do that because she was no longer there. So Alan was left holding the bag. Well, I guess that about says all I've got to say about this specifically. Of course, there's a lot more to say if you haven't seen and absorbed what I've been saying in my other videos. But I'm not going to try to explain all that here. If you want to understand the context that I'm using, you'll have to go watch those videos. One of them's called A Handbag. One of them's called Conspirator Alan Tippett. One of them is Alan Tippett Carries a Handbag. And, there's probably some others, I don't know.